Okay, hello everybody. How you guys doing? My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. What's happening? We're gonna have a bit of a fun stream this week. We're gonna talk about various things that the right-wing conservative MAGA chuds are filling their diapers over this week. It's good to take some time and laugh at stuff sometimes because if you don't, then you just get depressed because the world is a horrible place. And it's good to laugh at things as we speed head first, blaring uncontrollably into the apocalypse. Look on the bright side, right? So, this is what we were working on for the last month and a half, our little witch figure. And I think we're at a pretty good stopping point, I'd say. I think it turned out pretty good. Since last time, I did a little more lighting over here with this little power crystal thing and put some lights and some shadows on this side of it, and down here. And I put some shadows underneath there, that kind of thing. I thought it turned out pretty good. Every piece sort of hits that point to where it's like, yeah, I guess I could probably do more with it, but it won't really improve it too much, I don't think. I don't know. I still think I got some things to learn about. Like, I don't like how the lighting on this candle looks over here. I have to like read up on how to do shit like that. Anyway, I think it looks pretty good, so we are going to end with this now. So that's what we just did recently. And I already started another one. This is a bunch of little funny fungus and mushrooms and things that I drew, and we're going to color this. So, anyway, so what is happening? Got lots of things that I want to talk about. First thing is George Santos. You guys all remember him. We talked about him very, very briefly 2 weeks ago, but I'm sure those of you who pay attention to the news know who George Santos is. He is the Republican House rep from New York who lied about everything. And when I say lied about everything, like I mean literally everything. He lied about his job, lied about his ethnicity, lied about his racial makeup. He posted a meme on his Facebook comparing Obama to and Michelle Obama to monkeys. And then when people called him out for being a racist piece of garbage, he turned around and said, "It's okay because I'm also half black," which of course he is not half black. He lied about his owning a company where some of his employees were killed during the Orlando nightclub shooting. If you remember, a few years back, a maniac went into a nightclub in Orlando, Florida, called Pulse, with an assault rifle, and murdered 49 people, right? With like an AR-15, killed 49 people. He claimed that he had 5 employees that died during that nightclub massacre. That was not true. He claimed to be gay. Turns out he wasn't gay. Not only was he not gay, but he was also married to a woman up until 2 weeks before his run there. Now, of course, the guy could have just come out of the closet in the last 2 weeks, before his election, but that's highly unlikely. He lied about his name, apparently, several times. And now it turns out I found another report here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And let's turn on our laptop window here. Display capture. George Santos, testimonials arise suspicions about Brazilian who invented success story to be elected deputy in the United States. So this is, of course, being translated from Portuguese because this is a Brazilian article in Portuguese, but I'll put it down in the chat for you guys if you want to read it later. There you go. And long story short here, we won't read this entire thing. And also there's audio here, but it's also in Portuguese. But long story short, God damn it. Okay. he met this woman named Ariana Damasceno, who says she met him at a bingo event in a city in Brazil. I can't pronounce that. Naturoli? I don't know. I can't speak Portuguese, sorry. And says they became friends, and she went with him to the United States in 2011. And according to her, George used her name to go shopping, withdrew all the money she had in the bank, and even pawned her jewelry. I just want someone to stop him. Stop. He won't stop. Anthony is a dangerous person. When he's cornered, he goes over anyone he won't stop. So, yeah, report from a woman in Brazil who claims that our newly elected representative from New York did the old lover boy boyfriend scam with her. So, if those of you out there who, if you've never heard of this before, basically what this is a scam. It's a scam where you meet a woman, you romance her. It's like the Romeo scam or the boyfriend scam. And you basically just sort of like drain everything that she owns, right, as soon as you get access to it, and then you leave her. And that's sort of like being a gigolo kind of sort of, except you don't hang around to like milk it slowly over years. You just take it all at once as soon as you get like access to their bank account, shit like that. You get their credit cards, you run up all their credit cards, you spend all their money, and then you just bail. And that's a common scam. It's like a love scam, right? Really, really looking like this guy George Santos is a straight out fucking con artist who somehow managed to like finagle his way into the United States House of Representatives. That's absolutely fucking ridiculous. There's also another article I saw, right? Let me see, George Santos. I forgot to look this one up. Where apparently he changed his name. There's a video of him calling himself Anthony DeVolder, right? And in this video, I'm not going to actually open this one for you guys, but I'll put a link to it. But at an event in 2019, here's the link. I'll just, that might be a little too long. Let me go to tiny URL. So anyway, in the video, he's at an event, and then someone is introducing him. And the guy goes, "Oh, I know him as Anthony DeVolder. I don't know where the name George Santos came from, but here he is anyway." Right? Punny Throat, thanks for joining, man. The Loverboy scam, pretending to be a rich man so gullible women will turn you into a real rich man. Exactly. Yeah, kind of sounds sort of like, I mean, it's despicable. Despicable, because the thing is, it's like, if you're just honest, like women will give you their money, right? But that of course requires love and trust and all of that stuff to, actually be in a relationship with somebody and that kind of thing. And he's not interested in that. He's just interested in the cash because he's a piece of shit. It's like, anyway, but there's another link that I just put down for you guys. Apparently he was lying about his name, and there's actual video of him calling himself Anthony DeVolder. So that's our new, senator. This guy is going to be voting on which laws apply to the rest of us. And I just wanted to point that out because it really, I think this more than anything shows the difference between the left and the right. Whenever an election comes around, there's always those people that say there's no difference between the political parties. There's no difference between, right? And that's simply not the case. Now, there's very similar policy, right, when it comes to like giant mega corporations and donors and things like that. That I'm not going to deny because that's true, because they're very often the exact same donors. But when it comes to things like this, like basic honesty, the Republican Party very much has a very demonstrably worse track record. So for example, is Kevin McCarthy as our new, House Majority Leader going to actually do anything about this guy? He is just sort of pretending that he doesn't exist. Hasn't said anything, hasn't done anything, hasn't tried to like censure the dude, hasn't like called for him to resign or start an ethics investigation into him. As a matter of fact, one of the things in the new rules package that the Republicans want to pass is to essentially gut the ethics committee. There is each branch of Congress has their own sort of in-house ethics committee, which never does anything. We'll investigate ourselves, and they never actually find anything. They go, oh, this guy did nothing wrong. And usually if one side controls it or the other, they'll investigate the other side. That's what those are for, right? Then there's an independent ethics committee made up of ex Congress people who basically have no more like skin in the game, and those are the guys that Congress has, not Congress, but Kevin McCarthy in his new rules package has essentially defanged. He's removed he's made it so that they really won't be able to function over the next 2 years, and I can't really speak to the particulars of that because I'm not prepared on it, but he did a few things like did stuff like they have 1 month to like hire replacements for any staff that leave, and then they can't hire any more people for the next 2 years. So even if somebody leaves, they can't like hire to replace them, and a bunch of shit like that. And maybe we'll talk about it in a future stream. But essentially, the independent ethics committee for the House is kaput. And they did that on purpose because why? Because they're about to do a bunch of shady illegal shit. That's why. Right? So, but they didn't, but getting back to the subject at hand, did they do anything about this guy Santos? Did they do anything else? No. Why? Why didn't he, you know, take the most easy political softball there is and speak out against someone who's like a fucking con artist, right? It was because he needed his vote to become speaker. And there you go. Just another example of corruption in the system. And before any of you guys out there, say, well, the Democrats are exactly the same. Oh, yeah? Can you name for me a Democrat who was caught lying on his resume to this degree? Now it's easy to say, okay, well, Democrats lie. And Elizabeth Warren said Warren said she was an American Indian, and Joe Biden made up that time that he hung out with fucking, I guess there was like he said in some comment that he like hung out with Nelson Mandela or something that like never happened. Yeah, they lie. Have any of them ever like taken a Brazilian woman to the United States and drained her bank account? Right? Has that ever happened? Have any of them claimed to be biracial when they're not biracial? Have any of them claimed that their grandparents died in the Holocaust when that didn't happen? Or that they were gay when they weren't gay? Or you know what I mean? Like, no, this is on another level. This is on a different level than just your normal sort of ordinary, like expected level of bullshittery when it comes to politicians. Yes, all politicians lie, but this guy is like, this is different. This is like fucking criminal criminal deception kind of lying. This is like scam artist like fucking steal your credit cards and rip off your fucking, you know, social security number and steal your identity kind of lying. And somehow this guy is now in a position of power where he's going to like, basically just use his power to personally enrich himself. That's what's happening. And the Republicans are totally cool with it. I don't know. Anyway, wanted to start off with that guy because it pissed me off. Next thing we have here, the latest little bit of ridiculous bullshittery that, let's see here. Wanted to point out this article to you guys here. This is from the Intelligencer, which is not the most progressive thing, news outlet out there. So in case any of you guys are ever like, wondering if I'm getting my shit from biased news sources or whatever, right? But let's go ahead and open this up. The Intelligencer. Here we go. The gas stove ban freakout is the story we need right now. So you guys might have heard a little bit about this, what's going on. We'll kind of sum this up, but long story short, right? Um, Gas stoves release particulate matter into the air. When you turn on the gas, before the gas ignites, some gas gets into the air, right? And it's not good for you. That's basically it. And this is a thing that we've known forever. Okay. But we've always known that it's not good for you, that exposure to things like fumes from natural gas or gasoline at your pump or something like that. We've always known that those things are bad for you, that they can lead to an increase in things like asthma. They are technically carcinogenic, although, by the time you breathed enough of it to get cancer, you would die of asphyxiation. Right. But we all knew about this, but here we go. And they also tend to, like, gas lines and gas stoves and shit tend to explode from time to time. I mean, that's really a actual real danger. Like a gas line that grows unstable and gets a clog in it or something, and then like someone's entire fucking house explodes, and it could just happen out of nowhere. There could be like no signs to it. You just wake up one day, you eat your cornflakes, you go outside to walk your dog, and then your fucking house blows up behind you. That is actually something that happens where you have gas lines, right? But there is no actual proposal for a federal ban on gas stoves. Okay. That's not a thing that happened. What happened was here. This is the relevant part of this story, right? Current dust-up was fueled by a remark Richard Tarmuka Jr., a U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commissioner, made about gas stoves in a Bloomberg's interview this week. This is a hidden hazard, Tarmuka said. Any options on the table, products that can't be made safe can be banned. That was it, right? And that led to all of the MAGA conservative, ridiculous MAGA chuds losing their fucking minds over this, right? Couple of tweets here from Ronnie Jackson. I'll never give up my gas stove. If the maniacs in the White House came for my stove, they could pry from my cold, dead hands. Come and take it. Okay. Somebody really likes I guess I guess they really like their gas there. They won't want to switch to propane or whatever. Joe Manchin. Please remember Joe Manchin is highly, highly conservative, even though he is also a Democrat. Right? We're talking about political ideology and not political party. This is a recipe for disaster. Federal government has no business telling American families how to cook their dinner. I can tell you the last thing that I ever leave my house is the gas stove that we cook on. Okay, some more tweets here. Alex Honan Sarek, right? I have no idea who that is. I want to set the record straight. Contrary to media reports, I'm not looking to ban gas stoves. And the USCP, I don't know what that is, has no proceeding to do so. So basically, he's basically saying there is no such thing as a gas stove ban. But that doesn't stop the crazies from coming out and still losing their minds over this made-up thing. Jim Jordan, God, guns, and gas stoves. Jesus Christ. Here's Ron DeSantis. Don't tread on Florida. Don't mess with gas stoves. Don't. It's almost hit the point of self-parody for these people, I think, where they're like posting shit like this. Lewis the Hedgehog, hey, thanks for joining, man. Let's see. It's like parody almost. It's like they know how ridiculous it is. Like posting this thing is like that. This makes fun. I don't think he understands of what like a self-own that is. He's making fun of libertarians here. right? He's not like I don't know. It's poking. This is showing how weak the libertarian philosophy actually is. If you think that freedom is has freedom and your self-determination has anything to do at all with the method by which you can cook food, like right, that has nothing to do at all with liberty. It's like these fucking morons who think that seatbelt regulations are like a form of tyranny, or that the guy at the exit to Costco who checks your receipt is somehow a form of corporate overstep. Like, and that's like an invasion of privacy. They don't need to know what I bought. It's like, bitch, they know what you fucking bought when you bought it at the fucking register, you fucking idiot. Show them the goddamn receipt and quit holding up the line. You know, the stupid shit like that. It's not even when they're not even talking about things like airport scanners or radar that can penetrate your wall and tell if you're growing marijuana inside. Or they're not even talking about serious, or the NSA collecting data on your internet use or your phone calls. They're not even talking about shit like that where it's actual real government overstep that can lead to the curtailment of civil liberties and the abuse of, a spy state that leads to the abuse of your Bill of Rights or whatever. They're not even talking about that shit. They're talking about stupid shit like helmet laws when you ride a motorcycle. I don't know. This just reminds me of that. It's a fucking stove, you idiots. It's not even... Get an electric stove. They're better. Anyway. Another one from Team DeSantis. When we say don't tread on Florida, that includes our gas stoves. Show the left that they're not taking those away from us anytime soon. Secure yours. Secure your stove. What are you going to do with your stove? You going to put chains and shit on it? Are you going to weld it to the floor when the pink-haired woke police shows up with their bubble guns? I mean, and steals your stove. It's the stupidest fucking shit ever. All right. Couple more. I have no idea who this is. Matthew Iglesias. I think I've heard his name before. The answers we need from YouGov: more electric stoves than gas in all categories. Dems more likely than Republicans to own gas. Independents most likely to have a gas stove. Why are they, so they took a poll on this to see how many people like stoves and shit. Who cares? I mean, here we go. Sam Demicchio, no idea. Just wanted to put this out there. Gas stoves are a Northeast California and Eastern urban Midwest thing. This is also where major cities used gas for lighting in the early 20th century. Almost opposite the map of the red-blue political divide. Yes, we do use gas in California. I currently myself have an electric stove, and I'm very happy. Not only do you not have to pay for gas, you don't have to upkeep it. You don't need to have a gas-powered fucking water heater, none of that shit. You don't have to worry about your pilot lights going out. A lot of homes in California are switching to electric because, especially Southern California, because we have frequent earthquakes. And even a small earthquake can damage gas lines and lead to things like explosions. Or it can make your pilot light go out. That can just randomly fucking happen, and then you don't know that your gas is filled up, because what happens is that even though they add chemicals to natural gas to make it smell so that you smell it, if you are, say, sleeping and you wake up and it's your nose is already used to it and shit, you might not smell it. So your gas might have been filled up with your house may be filled up with gas, and then you go to light a match or something and your whole fucking house blows up. That shit happens all the time. Excuse me for a second. I need to mute here. Give me 1 second here. Anyway, can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, a lot of houses, new houses in California, don't use gas. But yeah. Anyway, so this is a manufactured fucking controversy because there is not even nobody even like proposed a ban on gas stoves to begin with. Yet the Republicans just went absolutely fucking bananas with it. Well, I'm gonna say not the conservatives went bananas with it, right? And kind of shows to me that they're just sort of looking for anything they can in order to, any kind of controversy they can. It's like they've entered the phase of the culture war where like they sort of lost on all of the things that they were trying to push, at least rhetorically, you know? Now, I'm not saying that they lost a complete, like, what I mean by that is obviously there are still conservatives and Republicans and MAGA people and all that other shit who are very much, opposed to you know, LGBTQ rights and trans rights and stuff like that, and are still pushing that woke, like, sort of anti-trans narrative. I mean, obviously that's still a thing that happens. It's just sort of like rhetorically they lost the reason they've lost that, right? And it doesn't like excite people as much as it did in 2017 and 2018 and 2019, right? It's not as what's the word here? It's been debunked, put it that way. So when people get into arguments and shit with it, it's sort of like they can't rely on that anymore to piss people off. Like they were really much relying on the anti-trans narrative to win them the midterms last year. They really pushed it super hard, you know, anti-trans bills and groomers and all that other shit. And even though there's still people out there that are pushing it, right? It's like they realize that that's not enough. That's not going to do it. And now they're sort of like really looking for anything that can keep that train going. So it's like even when like something as stupid as like people talking about gas stoves, like they just jump on it. You know what I mean? Now that's not to say that I don't mean to imply that the war against the LGBTQ and anti woke politics is over with, because it's not. It is still very much out there, and there's still very much lots and lots of conservatives of all stripes pushing that malarkey, um, which is what our next thing that we're going to talk about kind of relates to. So let's see here. Let me just go to the right page. Something for you guys here. Just a little quick side note. I'll put this down in the chat. Adversary Fandon, thanks for joining. In this case, it's called Freedom. Right. Freedom. Freedom to burn yourself alive with a gas stove. Let's see here. So let's turn on our monitor again. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders bans term Latinx on her first day in office. So, yeah, gender neutral term won't be allowed for the official use in state government, a move one Latino scholar slammed as part of the anti-woke agenda. We're not going to watch this video. Right. Long story short here, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is now the governor of Arkansas. Seems pretty fitting for her. That seems like the kind of place that would vote for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And she did a couple of things right off the bat. This among them, banning this term Latinx. So those of you guys who don't know about this, it is a somewhat controversial term because it doesn't mean anything in Spanish. Latinx means nothing in Spanish. So in Spanish you have in fact in many of in the Romance languages, Spanish, French, Portuguese, right? Nouns have gender. So you say, um, El Sol, right? Like the L is connotates that it's male, or La Luna is the moon, right? El Sol is the sun, La Luna is the moon. So you say La, that means it means it's female, and that's just sort of like how it works. That's just how the language evolved, right? So the term, they would say Latino, right, or Latina, meaning um, but there's some people that want to move away from that sort of gendered language, right? So they would say Latinx instead of Latino or Latina, right? So the thing is, a lot of and this kind of also is from people who are apolitical. A lot of people who are even apolitical don't like that term Latinx because the X you can't pronounce in Spanish. The X is like silent. So, for example, if you were to say Texas in Spanish, it's Teja, right? It's like so you don't actually pronounce the X, right? So you can't actually pronounce the word Latin X in Spanish. It's not. It doesn't make any sense. Like grammatically, it doesn't make any sense. And for that reason, it hasn't seen a very wide adoption. It's really only been adopted in like social justice circles, right? People who want to use inclusive language. And that's the thing is that if you want to use inclusive language, then more power to you, right? There's nothing wrong with that at all. And you know, the thing is just if people want to use it, they'll use it, and if they don't, they don't. And you just sort of that's how language evolves, and then eventually it'll catch on or it won't, right? Well, that's not good enough for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She wants to prevent that, you know, because of ideological reasons. So that's what this entire thing is all about. Like, the thing is, it didn't look like the term Latinx was catching on anyway. It didn't really. It doesn't look like it's becoming a normal like its usage is not like being normalized, right? Very much because it's like I said, hard to pronounce. People just don't like it. Right? Sometimes these things, for even though you have the best intentions, sometimes they don't work out. So if you just leave it alone, the term will probably die out on its own over the course of a few years. But that's not good enough. Sarah Huckabee Sanders wants to help that along because of ideological reasons, because she thinks that, for whatever reason, using the term Latinx is like programming people or some shit, right? You know that using these types of I guess you would call this politically correct speech is like controlling and programming people and blah 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 and teaching the wrong fucking message to our kids, which I never understood that shit. It's like I never understood how trying to be inclusive teaches the wrong message. I guess it only really teaches the wrong message if you don't believe people should be inclusive. Then it makes sense, right? If you believe that people should remain separate and, that you shouldn't include, everybody, right? And you shouldn't respect everybody you should make an effort to respect everybody at least in your everyday language, then it makes perfect fucking sense. But anyhow, so, just a small example of what Republicans actually care about. Another thing that one of the first things that Sarah Huckabee Sanders did was an executive order to ban the teaching of critical race theory in K through 12 in Arkansas. So, if you're a kindergartner, you will not be learning about critical race theory, which is, of course, an easy thing to do because they don't actually teach critical race theory in K through 12. Excuse me for a second. Yeah, fucking throat is. It's because I'm talking. My throat gets all fucked up when I'm talking. Anyway, they don't actually teach critical race theory in K through 12. They don't actually teach it in high school at all. Critical race theory is a subject that you really don't learn about until it's like a postgraduate subject, right? That has to do like mainly with like in law school and shit, and has to do with how laws affect, how certain laws were passed and how they affect people depending on what your race is, stuff like that. For example, the difference between the sentencing disparities of powder and crack cocaine. That's something you would learn about in critical race theory. You know, the how things like voter ID laws can be discriminatory, shit like that. The history of why certain laws were passed, things like um, anti-marijuana and drug laws, and how they have a racist history, that kind of thing. These are things you would learn in a class about critical race theory. You would not learn any of that in kindergarten or even arguably high school. They would not even touch on anything like that. This is more of because, Republicans and conservatives have used critical race theory as a punching bag to get rid of anything that they think is woke in education, which usually means books and learning materials that were written by gay people and black people. That's usually what it means. So if you start seeing lots of books by gay authors, if you start seeing subjects about, like, say, the civil rights movement, Reconstruction, um, that kind of thing, lynching in the early 20th century, if you start seeing subjects like that get banned in Arkansas, you can thank Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And it really goes to show what they really care about, because Arkansas, if you guys, for those of you out there who have not been keeping track of stuff like this, is not a very nice place to live. Arkansas is kind of like bottom of the barrel when it comes to things like education. They're let me look that up. Okay, I'm going to look up exactly, let's see, Arkansas, where does Arkansas rank? Education rank. Where does it rank? It's number 38. Right? Pre-K through 12. So, don't want to hear no shit about how, like, the schools are awesome in Arkansas. I bet you California is worse though. Let me look. California education rank. Yep, California's 40. So, don't want to hear any shit, but oh, actually no. Yes, California is 40. So, yeah, it's worse. So, I'm not trying to compare one to the other here, but I am saying that, I don't want to hear no shit about how the schools in Arkansas are so awesome and everything. Right? Because 38th in the nation out of 50, that's not a very high score there. You know what I'm saying there? That's lower tier for sure. The standard of living in Arkansas is pretty low. The life expectancy is lower. Violent crime per capita is actually higher there. So than you would find in, say, New York or California. It is. And that sounds like a strange thing to say. It sounds like something you wouldn't believe, right? Violent crime per capita in the South is higher than it is in the North, than it is in blue states. It just is per capita. Now, obviously, there's more violent crime in California and New York because there's more people. There's 40 times more people in California than there is in Arkansas. Obviously, there's going to be way more crime, right? But if you look at it on a per capita basis, kind of evens that out there. It's like, oh, there you're more likely to get assaulted or shot or something in, like, Louisiana or Arkansas or Florida than you are in, like, New York or, like, Washington or California. That's just the facts, you know. And lots of problems there in these states. Lots of things that she could be, like, spending her political capital on. Lots of problems that she could be solving. And the first thing that she wants to solve is, the gays don't get to write books. Right? That's what she wants to solve, because that's where their priorities are, folks, because, conservatives and Republicans, they don't have solutions, And, even if they did, it doesn't seem like they care enough, right? I don't know. Okay, moving on. Here's one that I think you guys will really like. Let's go ahead and turn... Oh, this whole time, damn it, I thought I turned that off. Sorry, I was like drawing and shit. And I thought I turned off the display there. Sorry about that. Anyway, here's one that, well, I guess we're just going to turn it right back on. Here's one for you guys that I think that you're going to like here. Let me just turn this off real quick. Hang on. Stop. Don't play. So, let's see. This is... Oh, crap. Crap. Okay. Hang on. 1 second. I lost the, I had a... Shit. Okay. Let me just look this up real fast. Oh, Joker... Here we go. So this is Fox News here, talking about, now let me just play that.
Yeah. He refuses.
Okay, shut up. So this is a video of Fox News who are angry that the Joker is pregnant. So the Joker from Batman, folks. Right. So there is apparently... Now, I read comics, but I don't really read Batman very much. But there is apparently a story out there now where the Joker is pregnant, which is funny. Super villain who murders people and laughs about it and shit like that. Getting pregnant, I think, is funny. And Fox News is losing their minds over it. They're losing their minds over the woker here. So this is only a 2-minute video. Let's listen to what they got to say about the Joker getting pregnant.
To do it, and here we are. Joe, want to get your thoughts on this. There is a bizarre new Batman storyline that has the Joker becoming pregnant and giving birth. This is a statement you literally could not say 10 years ago, but this is the world in which we live.
Okay, wait. So here's the panel, right? So you guys can kind of see it. Right here. Right. I wish they would just show the whole thing. I think you're pregnant. I think you're right. Do we have an OGBYN in use? Right? This panel just looks awesome. And I kind of want to read this comic, of course, because now it's controversial. So, the thing is, if you guys, Batman is notorious for crap like this. Like, especially back in the 60s, Batman had the silliest stories of all time. Right? Incredibly silly, And it was only in the, late 70s, early, and then 80s where Batman became all dark and serious, Back in the Adam West era, Batman was, incredibly campy, Like, DC Comics in general were incredibly campy back then. Just, ridiculous plot lines, things like, Lois Lane being jealous over Superman and stuff like that, and or Batman would fight giant weird monsters that shot rainbow rays at him that turned him two-dimensional, right? Or that kind of thing, or they would go back in time and withhold water from a whole village of people. I don't know. There's an entire meme out there of Superman being a dick from all the different covers. If you guys, something to look up if you've never heard of it, look up Superman as a dick. It's hilarious. So yeah, DC Comics is not new to publishing silly things. Right. Silly comedy things sometimes. And yeah. Just very, very funny that this is the thing that gets their attention. Now, first off, do you actually think that anybody on this panel here gives a fuck about comics? Of course they fucking don't. They're just saying this is just because it's it's something that fits their agenda to fucking yell at. But anyway, this is only 2 minutes long, so let's actually watch it before I start like going off on it.
Could not say 10 years ago, but this is the world in which we live now. Look, we've had comic book fans on this very show saying no one is buying this drivel. So why?
So the Joker giving birth. Oh shit! Right, it'll ever be Atomic Skull is his doctor, huh? Now it kind of makes me think, well, where's the baby coming out of? I don't know. Maybe they had to do a C-section for the Joker, right? Anyway, let's rewind that just a little bit.
On this very show saying no one is buying this drivel. So why, instead of reading the market and sort of stopping the woke garbage strategy, they're doubling down on woke?
Woke garbage.
No longer the Joker, now he's the woker, right? I mean, this is what we're dealing with at this point. Apparently he got
the woker. Wow. I bet that guy had to I bet that guy stayed up hours and hours at night thinking up that joke, huh? Fucking stupid. You know, newscasters are just actors, right? They're not actually journalists. They're just actors. They just, they're actors that didn't make it as in Hollywood, and now they do newscasts. That's where they came from, Pundits and stuff are also actors who didn't make it in Hollywood either. Ben Shapiro, for example, wanted to be a screenwriter. That was his like dream career, and he failed. He failed hard, and that's where he ended up as a pundit. Dave Rubin was a comedian. Really, really wanted to be a comedian. He wanted to be like an edgy comic, kind of guy. And failed super hard because he's the most unfunny fucking moron on the face of the earth. And now this is how he makes his money now, is by fucking saying stupid, untrue bullshit and pissing people off. That's all these people are. They're just actors, right? So it's yeah, okay, I could just picture this dude the day before going through his dialogue there, thinking oh, we need something funny. We need something. We need to make fun of these, leftards here. I'll call him the woker. That's hilarious. Oh my god, stupidest shit ever. That these people of all the shit that you're gonna get mad at. Why? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, let's continue on a little bit.
Pregnant because somebody that he is in opposition to cast a spell on him. So it's not like the Joker became transgender. It's because who knows and who cares, right? I mean, it seems like everything now has to be impacted, including...
Did you catch that, folks, by the way? The actual storyline is not that the Joker was transgender. He straight up said the Joker is not transgender. It was the result of magic because it's a comic book, so things like magic are a thing in comics. But then he moved on from that. Did you see that? Did you catch that? As soon as he said that, oh, the Joker's not transgender, he skipped out and moved on to talk about how it's the transgender agenda. So even though the story says the Joker's not transgender, it's the transgender agenda. So it's promoting something that the story is not about. Kind of shows how as soon as something doesn't fit their narrative, they really have to bend over backwards to make the shit fit their narrative so that they can be mad at it. Seems like bullshit to me. Moving on.
Including comic books, which is the ultimate escapism for children and even adults alike. But instead, as we've seen with Disney, as we've seen with so many...
Yeah, kids don't read comic books, by the way. Comics are for adults. They are. Comics are marketed at adults. They're for people my age, My age, and it was for a long time not even young adults, not even people in their 20s. They didn't read comics either. It really wasn't until all of the superhero movies came out that comics became cool again. That's seriously, I'm not kidding. For a long time, comics were in decline, right? Whereas back in the 90s, you could put out a book and it would sell 500,000 issues or something. And that was and then they had 40 titles selling that many. Now they're lucky if a comic sells like more than 80,000, that's considered a success. So that's how much it's gone down from like 500,000 to like 80,000. That's so comics is very much an industry in decline, and it was in decline for a long time until the Marvel Cinematic Universe came around and made comics awesome again. And specifically Marvel is what now sells books in that range, but even Marvel doesn't sell them like they used to, right? Even now it's still like those numbers are way lower than they were 30 years ago. Like the golden age of comics is definitely come and gone, right? But Marvel Comics sells way more now than DC does because the DC movies suck and people don't and it's not generating that buzz, and every Marvel movie comes out and makes $1 billion and they get a corresponding spike in comic sales after those movies come out. So, they're doing something right, but it's not for kids. Kids don't buy comics. You know what kids do? Kids play fucking Roblox. That's what kids do. They play fucking like Minecraft and like video games and Roblox and like that kind of shit and like watch cartoons. They don't read comic books. There are comics for kids, of course. I'm not saying there aren't. Of course, obviously there are, right? It is a very small subset of that market, you know. Even stuff that was marketed to kids for years and years and years, things like Archie, Sonic the Hedgehog, stuff like that, right? Those are marketed to adults now, you know. Sonic the Hedgehog is like serious when you like if you read it now, it's like just any other superhero comic. People dying and shit like that, universes exploding, that kind of thing. Sonic is definitely matured. It's a long way from the Archie comics from because Archie used to publish Sonic. Archie itself is like way different now. They're like having sex. There's like fucking zombie like apocalypses and shit in Archie. The Predator is showing up and killing Jughead. That's what you see in Archie now. Like Archie, I'm serious. Like they have like the Riverdale comics where it's like an adult. It's like watching a soap opera when you read Archie. Like everybody's banging each other, right? Scooby Doo is like targeted toward adults now. They have Scooby Doo Apocalypse. That's an actual book that came out, Scooby Doo Apocalypse, where they like, had to fight off a zombie apocalypse, and like Shaggy gets fucking murdered and gets eaten alive and stuff. It's so there is no like there are very few comics out there are for kids now. I guess you could still probably find a few of them, you know, but no, they're marketed. They're all marketed towards adults. And most of them are marketed towards people my age, in their 30s to 40s, right? So yeah, that's just these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Moving on.
As we've seen with so many movies, we have to go down this route where we inject this sort of stuff into what otherwise, usually used to be a safe zone. No longer the case, Ashley.
He just said, now just keep that in mind, he just said the official storyline is that the Joker is not transgendered, right? Yet he turned right around in the exact same sentence and said that they're injecting woke transgenderism into the comics, right? I'm not sure how you square that circle. It really just seems to me like he just lied to everybody watching this right now, right? He just basically told a lie right there in front of everybody. You should be mad at this, even though the thing that you're mad at this about is not what's actually happening. Kind of just like the gas grill thing, isn't it? Oh, you should be mad that they're taking away the gas grills, when in real life, no one really wants to take away the gas grills. You know what? It's hard to see. I need to remove that since I'm cleaning up the line work here. Right? Kind of seems like it's all bullshit, doesn't it, folks? Kind of seems like this is their model. That's how they make money. They make money now through rage. And it's more profitable for this news organization, because remember, this is Fox News here. This is Fox News Channel. They're supposed to be telling you news. They're supposed to be telling you shit that is going on in the world so that you're informed and that you can make informed decisions. And it seems like it's more profitable for them to not even bother trying to tell you news anymore, but instead to just make you angry. I mean, I know, of course, Fox News hasn't really been a news organization for 30 years. There was a time back in the 90s before Bill Clinton was president where they were actually somewhat muckraking, when they first started out. But yeah, it's been several decades that Fox News has not actually been a news organization. But it's sort of official now. They're talking about gas stoves and the fucking comic books when, there's lots of important shit going on in the world that we need to know about. But we're not getting into that. There's an entire segment of our population out there, I guess boomers and shit. But still, an entire segment of the population who are grossly misinformed about what's going on in the world. And then you wonder how thousands of people can break into the Capitol building, right, and try to murder Congress, and nobody who actually organized that has been held accountable to any significant degree, right? Lots of the small people who actually went in, smashed windows, and spread shit on the walls, all those people got busted. They all went to jail. They're all getting busted, right? But, Roger Stone didn't get busted. Donald Trump didn't get busted. Rudy Giuliani didn't get busted. All the people who organized it, who profited, who, would have seized political power had it worked. None of those people are being held accountable. And it makes you wonder, now you start to see why. It's like, oh, because 40% of the people out there think this shit was a hoax because their news channel, the place where they get their news from, is too fucking busy talking about how the Joker is having a baby. It's sad and ridiculous. Makes me want to, I don't know, build a rocket ship and fly to Mars. Like I said last time, Ponythroat, you said you were a rocket scientist. Please, man, build me a spaceship. Build me a spaceship. I'll make it worth your while. Moving on. There's still a minute left. Let's watch the rest of this.
Todd.
I'm sorry, but if you saw those images, I mean, it's disgusting to me to see this. I mean, I understand it's a comic, but at the same time, like you said, Joe, it's every single place we turn to now. It's like we cannot escape it.
And you talked about Randy Weingarten before with Dr. Sapp.
It's disgusting. We can't escape it. You know what you could do? Whoever this lady is, I don't know her name. You know what you could do? You could just not buy the comic. That's how you escape it. I mean, I don't understand why that isn't an option here. Every time you hear about these people complaining about, oh, this fucking razor company is too woke, or, this movie is too woke, or Captain Marvel, blah, blah, blah. You could just not buy it. That's how you escape it, right? Captain Marvel too woke for you, right? She's too feminist. You could just not see the movie, fucking Bic razors or whatever have a commercial where they tell men not to be scumbags. You don't like that? You think men should be scumbags? You could just not buy those razors. That's how you escape it, you fucking idiot. Right? Like, when did it become a thing where corporations are obligated to believe in the exact same shit that you believe? When did that become a thing? Right? Kind of seems to me that a few years ago, you got criticism like this from the social justice people, right? Didn't you? Didn't you a few years ago, 2014, 2015, 2016? They were the ones complaining about things like, say, representation in media and video games, right? And everybody was losing their minds. And they said the exact same thing. Hey, don't fucking, if you don't like it, then just don't watch the movie. Don't read the comic book, right? Don't play the video game if you don't like the fact that Mario saves the princess and shit like that, right? That's what the response was. Well, now all of a sudden it's the fucking conservatives, it's the MAGA people, it's the anti-woke scolds. The anti-woke scolds are the ones losing their minds because these media companies have realized there's a market there. That's really all this is. You know, like if you see a video game with a female protagonist and blah blah blah, and there's feminist themes in it, whatever shit like that. All that really is that game company has figured out that there's a market for that because we live in a capitalist society, right? Games and movies and shit don't come out if there's no market for them. Doesn't matter unless it's like a passion project that you get off of it, and then they create a Kickstarter or something, and then people fund it. But even then, that demonstrates there's a market. That's what Kickstarter is. The Kickstarter is just going straight to your market, saying, "Hey, anybody want this game that has, by the creator of Mega Man?" And then you go, "Yeah," and then the game comes out and it sucks or whatever. It's like, well, there was a market for that, right? That's all Kickstarter is. It's like, it's the same fucking thing. Marvel and DC, they're not going to put out a comic with, a pregnant Joker or like social, or like superheroes with pink hair and shit. Like, they're not going to do that if they don't think people are going to buy their comic, right? Something has shown them, hey, people want this stuff. People want comics that are inclusive. They want comics that have LGBTQ characters in them, right? Or non-white characters or whatever, or female characters. Oh, hey, people are buying them. It comes out. It's good. Here's an example. A-Force is one that a recent example comes to mind. It has an all-female cast. It's like Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, America Chavez, and like a few other. I don't know if you guys are into comics. I don't know. I like comics. Like Captain America, She-Hulk, like Monica Rambeau, and a few others, and they form an Avengers team. That's what A-Force is. It's like basically an Avengers team with an all-female cast, right? And it sold pretty well. It did pretty good. It got like a series and then like another series after Secret Wars, and because it was like one of those Secret Wars tie-ins, right? And it did pretty well. And it's like, well, people wouldn't buy it if there was no market. If they put out an issue of it and nobody bought the shit, guess what? It gets canceled. Doesn't matter how much they want it. You can't make something a thing if nobody likes it. There's no force on earth that will make people like shit. It has to just land organically, And this is like what you see every time when they try to make something, and it just never fucking happens. Like, I'm trying to think of an example right now. I can't think of an example right now, but there are examples of movies and media that, they keep remaking them. They want to make them into franchises. Here we go. The Dark Universe. That's an example. You remember Tom Cruise's Mummy movie that came out in like 2016 or whatever, or was it 2017? I don't know. It was a movie. Tom Cruise and there was a mummy and all this other shit, and it was a remake. And they wanted to make that the first in a cinematic universe of Universal monsters. So they were going to make Dracula, they were going to make, the Invisible Man and all that shit. Right? Movie came out, it sucked ass. It was stupid. Mummy movie. Piece of shit. Pile of garbage. Right? And it sucked. And it died. That was it, the end. And the thing is, they, for years before and after that, tried to make a Universal Monsters cinematic universe, right? For a long time. That wasn't the first time. Let's turn this shit off. Anyway, Moron is fucking pissed off at pregnant Batman, blah, 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 blah. Let's turn this fucking shit off for now. Right? But they tried to make that an actual thing where they they wanted to make a cinematic universe, and they were going to have like a bunch of different ones, Frankenstein and all this other shit. And it started with Dracula Untold, which is actually a pretty good movie. If you've never seen Dracula Untold, it came out like around 2006, I think. Pretty good movie, but each time they kept doing it, it kept failing over and over and over, right? And it's like there's no market for that. People just aren't interested in seeing another, Universal Monsters cinematic universe, which kind of sucks because I think that'd be kind of cool if they did it right. You know what I mean? It's all money, folks, and it has nothing to do with woke politics or politics at all. You know, if the shit makes money, they'll then it will get made. If it doesn't make money, it won't get made. The end. There are people who are banking that, you know, putting these types of representation in movies and comics is what sells now. And it does. It does. Captain Marvel comes out, made $1 billion, right? Black Panther comes out, makes $1 billion. Black Panther Wakanda Forever comes out, makes fucking 800 million. Let me see how much. I know that didn't make as much, but let's take a look at Wakanda Forever. What's the Wakanda Forever box office? Let's see, box office mojo, right? How much money did it make? Wakanda Forever, worldwide, $833 million. All right. I mean, it's making money. Okay, so the first one made $1 billion. Oh no, they only made 800 million this time. It's making money, folks. Let's see, Thor: Love and Thunder. Right, that's another one that all the fucking like anti-woke people are losing their minds over. Right. Which I actually love that movie. Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, is the best Thor movie. It's better than Ragnarok. Right? It's hilarious. They're comedies now, right? They're pretty good. Worldwide, 760 million. Oh no, it only made $760 million. It didn't make $1 billion. Oh no. Go woke, go broke, huh, folks? Yeah. We only made $760 million. We're failing. We're going broke. Get the fuck out of my face. Right? People are stupid. These fucking, oh my God. Stupid as fucking shit. So yeah, there you go. Okay, I turned it off, I know, but still, I'm still ranting about it. If you don't like it, if you can't, if you're mad that you can't escape from the woke agenda, then just don't see the goddamn movie. Don't buy the stupid comic, right? Don't fucking read it. Don't, you know what I mean? Like, don't support the company that is pushing the woke agenda on your fucking, on you. That's all you have to do, right? Because the truth is, they don't really care, folks. The truth is, the way they're making money is by making people angry. Which leads us to our next little bit. But before we get into the woke M&Ms, let's read some comments here. What do we got? Let's see. We already read that one. Loverboy scam, pony throat, pretending to be rich man so gullible women will turn you into a real rich man. Yeah, that is definitely, that's like a classic kind of scam artist thing. Like gigolo kind of scam artist shit where you just sort of steal, like you get, you get in with somebody, you romance them or whatever, and then when they're not looking, you fucking abscond with their life savings. That's yeah, like scam artist 101, like old school kind of scam artist shit. And it makes you think, I wonder how much, other stuff is going to come out about George Soros. What's his name? George Santos. George Soros. Right? Is going to come out about George Santos in the future. If he's pulling criminal dime, nickel and dime shit like that, what do you think he's going to do as a fucking congressman? Right now, he has access now to information that you and I don't have when it comes to things like regulations that will have to impact stocks. This is one of the reasons why it should be illegal for people who are in Congress to own stocks. And this is something that all of them do. Nancy Pelosi is fucking notorious for this shit. She's made ridiculous amounts of money in stocks over her career. And it's why? Because she knows which legislation is coming, and she knows what legislation is coming to regulate what companies or what spending bills are coming And so she can invest. Like, so if there's, for example, a huge pandemic spending bill, she can invest in certain companies that supply things like vaccines and medical supplies, things like, companies that make masks and shit like that. She can invest in those and make a shitload of money before the rest of us have an opportunity to do that. Now, if you do that type of insider trading and you're a normal civilian, you go to jail for that. Like if you run a company and like you know that this company is going to like buy another company and that is not public knowledge yet, and if you go and you buy a shitload of shares in this other company so that the price, because you know that the stock price is going to fucking shoot up because this other company's buying them out, you can go to prison for that. That's insider trading. That shit is illegal, right? It's illegal if you do it. It's not illegal if fucking Nancy Pelosi does it. It's not illegal if George Santos does it, right? He has access to all this information. I guarantee you by the time he leaves office, he's going to be rich as fuck. And remember, this is a guy that like 2 years ago was getting evicted from his like apartment, right? Who was working at a job making like 50 grand a year, which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But it shows that this dude was not rich and powerful beforehand. He wasn't like, you know, he wasn't like in no. He wasn't like somebody who had access to like the levers of power and all, no. He's a fucking scam artist. And he's going to like enrich himself and that's at the expense of the people of his district in New York who are now not being represented, right? Their interests are not being represented now. So there you go. It's anti-democratic to allow this guy to fucking stay in power, right? Republicans aren't doing shit about that because they don't care, because they need his vote, because they only have a 9 vote margin. So he's not going to be voting. He's not going to be voting according to the interests of his constituents. He's going to be voting according to the interests of the Republican Party, in particular, fucking Kevin McCarthy, right? He's going to go along with exactly everything they fucking say because they're allowing him to enrich himself. This is fucking corruption, dude. Corruption 101. This is why it matters who you fucking vote for, right? I don't know. It's just the guy pisses me off. That's why it pisses me off so much. Like, this dude pisses me off a lot, right? Because it just blatantly shows that they just don't give a fuck. They seriously don't give a fuck, And we have other examples of politicians doing really bad shit and people looking the other way. Greg Giaffanti comes to mind. That's the guy, the governor of fucking, what is it, Montana, I think. Greg Giaffanti. Who was that? I think he's the governor of Montana. Greg Giaffanti. Governor of, serving as he's the current governor of Montana. If you guys remember him, he's the guy that basically fucking like beat the crap out of a reporter and then went on to win the election and then nothing happened to him. Remember that guy? Beats a fucking reporter's ass, like body slams him to the ground. We have absolute proof that he did it. There's like audio recording of him fucking doing it, right? What happened to him? Nothing. If I went and beat the shit out of a reporter, I'd be in jail. But if a rich fucking like, rich asshole who becomes the governor does it, nobody does shit. That's the difference. That's what makes it so fucking... And, the thing is, his constituents applauded him for it. The people that, like, voted for him, like, he goes up now and they make jokes about it and shit when he goes and he does speeches. Can you imagine that shit? This is the guy that, he's the governor now. He kicked your ass. There's absolutely nothing you can fucking do to him, right? That's like... it's infuriating. It's infuriating how ridiculous and unfair, like, our system can be. Especially when it comes to people who have money and power. There's, like, 2 sets of laws. Right? That's what it is. There's 2 laws, like two legal systems. And their legal system lets them get away with fucking everything. Like, there is no law for rich people, essentially. Ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. We got any other comments here? Adversary Fandin. Remember the Arnold movie where he gets pregnant? You know, I never actually saw that. That was the follow-up to Twins, right? I saw Twins. That was like hilarious. I love that one because it had a little bit of like, it was funny and it had some action in it, stuff like that. And then the one after that, like, yeah, where Arnold gets pregnant. I think Danny DeVito's in it too, isn't he? Uh, yeah, never actually saw it. It looked funny. It looked funny, but I probably didn't see it at the time because it didn't have any ass kicking in it. Because at the time it came out, when you expect an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie to have like guns and explosions and people getting their heads chopped off and shit like that, and it didn't have anything like that, so it kind of went down went down a notch on my list of movies to watch. But one of these days I'll probably get around to watching it. Schwarzenegger actually is a pretty good actor for what he is. I mean, he's not like winning any Academy Awards or whatever, but he kind of is a pretty decent actor. I mean, he plays one sort of character really well, that kind of stoic barbarian android killer kind of character, like really good. But anyway, let's move on because I want to talk about M&Ms. So here's another thing that the conservative morons have lost their shit over recently. Let's make this full screen and rewind it. So,
all right, y'all, we got another culture war back.
Actually, nope. We don't want to watch that. That's the wrong thing. Why did I have that open? I want to instead go to this one. Here we go. So here's a tweet. I'm going to go ahead and open this tweet for you guys. Put this down in the chat for y'all again. There you go. Let's turn this on. Let's make this full screen. Here's a little compilation of Fox News people going a little bananas over the new M&Ms packaging.
Will M&Ms still melt in your hands if they identify as trans?
Apparently, there's new lesbian characters.
We need to run from women like the green M&M. I do not trust her.
Purple M&M was added to push acceptance and inclusivity.
You conniving, climbing little bitch.
If this is what you need for validation, I'm worried about you. I think this is the kind of thing that makes China say...
Conniving little bitch. All of that from a picture of some M&Ms. Somebody has a problem.
Like, oh, good. Keep focusing on that.
Yeah.
Keep focusing on giving people their own color M&Ms while we, take over all of the mineral deposits in the entire world.
Is this orange a man or a woman? I don't know. Is this blue? Is it non-binary? Is it democratic? I don't know. It's blue. I don't know.
Women all know that the women that are like, I'm a woman and I'm pro-woman and look how pro-women I am. You can't trust them.
Green M&M is disgusting.
She's an opportunistic, evil bitch.
Wow.
So, you can't trust women. You can't trust them. Here's the part I really liked here was this one, right? Was this. I really, really, really liked this part.
If this is what you need for validation, I'm worried about you. I think this is the kind of thing that makes China say, like, oh, good. Keep focusing on that.
Yeah.
Keep focusing on giving people their own color M&Ms while we, take over all of the mineral deposits in the entire world.
I really like that because there she's implying, this host here on Outnumbered, she's implying that China is somehow using M&Ms to distract us while they go out and engage in imperialism, right? China, for those, China actually, the way they engage in imperialism is a little different than the United States. So what the United States will do is traditionally, usually, they'll sort of instigate a coup in a particular country that has resources that they like, say Venezuela. They'll try to do that, and then when they install the leadership that they like, they negotiate contracts in order to extract the mineral wealth or oil wealth or natural resources that they want. And then if that country ever tries to renege on those contracts, if they ever try to get a little more, try to sell their stuff on the open market for more money, the United States will then overthrow that government. And that's kind of how the United States engages in imperialism. China, on the other hand, is a little more open with it. They straight up pay. What they'll do is they'll go into, say, a country in Africa, and they'll be like, hey, why don't you let us build your freeway, your highway system for free in exchange for exclusive mineral rights for this cobalt or whatever, or this lithium or something like that. And even though it's still a form of imperialism, it is much more beneficial to the home country than having your leadership systematically overthrown every couple of decades, you know? So that's what she's basically trying to say, that, hey, yeah, the woke agenda is it's distracting us from this other stuff that really matters, like other countries doing imperialism better than we are, right? And I really think that's really funny because the day before, Fox News went nuts on the packaging of M&Ms. The day before that happened, it was January 8th, and that is when in Brazil a bunch of insane right-wing Bolsonaro supporters tried to pull a January 6th on their country and tried to basically install Bolsonaro as president even though he lost the election. That was a big story that happened, and I'm sure I didn't do a video on it because mainly I don't live in Brazil, so I don't really know the politics there so much, right? But also it's because it seemed to be wrapped up pretty well. Nothing really happened, right? It failed, but that's basically what happened. So for months and months, right, ever since the election in Brazil, there was all of these protesters who were just kind of like begging the military to intercede. That's what they've been doing. They've been begging the military to intercede and reinstall Bolsonaro as president. And the military has just, told them to go piss up a rope. And then Bolsonaro flees to the United States and starts talking to Stephen Miller, right? And fucking that other motherfucker. Who's the other guy that starts talking to Steve Miller and Steve Bannon, right? And then a few months later, there's a fucking January 8th, insurrection. And it kind of seems like they tried to pull the exact same shit that they tried to do for Trump and failed equally as hard. So what happened, the thing is the thing in January 8th in Brazil was kind of the same as January 8th. It was just on a much larger scale. There were way more people, and they invaded a bunch of different buildings. So whereas here, for example, they only invaded one building, the Capitol building, right? In Brazil, on January 8th, they sort of, the insurrection was in the equivalent of the White House, the Capitol building, the Supreme Court, all of the major institutions, it was like the Brazilian equivalent of those institutions. Those were all invaded on that day. And the thing is that there was nobody in them. The president, De Silva, wasn't there, right? And nobody really got hurt, although there were people there were his staff and shit there. And it was the same kind of thing. Bunch of morons go in, they fight with cops. They broke in and smashed a bunch of shit. I saw this post about this priceless 400-year-old clock, cuckoo clock that was made in fucking the 16th century or some shit, how they trashed it beyond repair, stuff like that. They did the exact same thing at the Capitol. on January 6th. They went in, they trashed a bunch of like paintings, like fucking priceless artwork, like crap like that. Same thing fucking happened in Brazil. Morons going smearing feces all over the place, destroying shit, destroying priceless fucking artwork. And then there was one difference. One difference happened in Brazil that did not happen in the United States. The army showed up, and the people cheered and said, "Yay, you're gonna go and you're gonna fucking do a coup and put Bolsonaro back in." And then the army arrested all of the protesters, and something like 500 people got busted, right? Even though there was way more than 500 people there. And then everybody got butthurt because it was like, oh, the army is betraying us. And it's like, no, motherfuckers, you are the ones who are betraying the country by trying to overthrow the goddamn government. And that's the difference. The difference is the guy De Silva, the president in Brazil, seems to not be taking any shit, and like came out strongly the next day and was like, we're gonna fucking hold these assholes accountable, right? And you know, Bolsonaro now is living in exile in the United States. Probably never going to be able to return to Brazil, because the minute he steps off the plane, they're going to throw his ass in a hole. And that's what they should have done here in the United States. That's what they should have done. You know, the army should have showed up on January 6th and should have thrown all these motherfuckers in jail, right? Didn't happen here because we live in a fucking feckless, you know, in a country that's run, you know, half of the government is run by a feckless bunch of cowards who, like, you know, don't actually give a shit about freedom or fucking democracy. Anyway, all of that happened one day before the Fox News went nuts over fucking M&Ms. So it's like, who's actually distracting here? Right? Who are the people who are, I mean, you're talking about, you know, this woman here is talking about China and all this other shit, and there's all these other things that we should be paying attention to. Why is your fucking news channel wasting time talking about purple M&Ms when, like, literally the day before there's, like, a coup? Like, I mean, you know, yeah, okay, what, because it happened in another country, so who cares? Okay. That's bullshit. I just don't understand this shit. It's like, I don't understand how anybody can sit here and watch this garbage and, like, fall for it, you know? like I don't understand it. Like, I mean, don't you get tired of watching the same shit every day? Like, it has to be like, okay, like I thought maybe at one time, like, if you just had a steady diet of conservative media, then it peppers your views, right? And yeah, I'm sure that's true, but don't you get tired of watching the exact same shit all the time? Like, like on YouTube, like, the algorithm feeds you things, and I notice that I get the same, like, dozen or so YouTube channels over and over again, right? But even then, I get, like, tired of watching those people, like, you know, over and over. And even though they're, like, the people that agree with me politically, that's great, but it gets boring just watching the same dude over. You gotta have variety, right? So I try to find stuff from different angles all the time. I watch shit like Joe Rogan, and I watch shit like Ben Shapiro, and this is why, you know, because of this is why I comment on these guys so much, because I want to know what they got to say, because, you know, first off, you should know what the other side of the aisle is if you want to be a political commentator, right? If you want to comment on politics, then you should know what is happening, even especially what the other people are talking about. And then the other reason I do it is because, well, conservatives set the agenda in this country. They do. They have kind of a hold on the media in such a way that we always end up talking about the shit they want to talk about. They set the agenda. They set the political discourse in this country. That's just currently how it is. It's kind of bullshit. And one thing I think that Democrats and progressives and liberals and shit really need to do is they really need to learn how to set the fucking agenda. So we're not always talking about woke M&Ms. You know, maybe we could talk about things like universal health care once in a while, right? Maybe we could talk about shit like that. Maybe we could talk about a UBI. Maybe we could talk about cutting military spending. Maybe we should be talking about those things, the important stuff. instead of how the fucking Joker is pregnant. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. So I never understood though. It's like how you could just watch the same shit and just like a diet of self-validation, because that's all it is. That's all it is. When you watch shit that agrees with you constantly all the time, then all you're really doing is just validate. You're just stroking your own ego. You're just sitting there and bathing in those endorphins that come from the idea that you're right about everything. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we just have an entire generation, boomer generation of fucking narcissistic assholes who wet their pants every time somebody tells them how smart they are. I don't know. That probably has a lot to do with it. Right? Anyway, I do want to... What do we got? 12:29. Let's watch a few more things here. Let's see. Let's turn this off. I want to watch another video here by... This is Ben Shapiro melting down over... Oh, shit. Damn it. There it is. Okay. Shut up, Ben Shapiro. This is only 5 minutes long, so maybe we might actually get through it. All right. But here's Ben Shapiro losing his mind over M&Ms as well, because this is such an important topic that all of the political pundits need to give us their opinions on it. So let's see what old Ben Shapipi here has to say about candy being too woke.
In the stupidest news of the day, corporate America has basically decided that they're going to woke signal every so often and hope that conservatives don't get upset. This is the way that it works. So if you look at market studies, what they tend to show is that left-wingers buy based on...
All right. First off, we got to comment on that, though, because, see, here's the thing about Ben Shapiro is that he says so much rapid-fire stupid shit, like at you, that things can slip through the cracks, and your brain just sort of ignores it. And he just said something incredibly fucking dumb that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and it just sort of passes through you. And from his tone of voice and the fact that he he can speak really fast and pronounce all of his words cleanly, he definitely is a good speaker. And because of that, it makes him sound way more intelligent than he actually is, right? So let's examine what he just said there one more time in the first 13 seconds, right? Let's rewind that one more time.
Corporate America has basically decided that they're going to woke signal every so often and hope that conservatives don't get upset.
There you go. They're going to woke signal and hope conservatives don't get upset. So why would any corporation give a shit about making people upset, per se, right? What they care about is making money, right? So the thing is, when you get mad at something, that's your fault. If you get upset at something, if something that somebody else says makes you upset, that's your fault. And I will even include, sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's, it actually makes sense. So, for example, if you make a Holocaust joke, that's going to make people upset. And for good reason. Why? Because you're making light of the murder of millions of people, relatives of people who are still alive. If the Holocaust happened 600 years ago, nobody alive today would really care about it, because it's so far in the past that nobody has any personal connection to it. But the fact that it only occurred, 70 years ago or so, right, 80 years ago, there are still people alive who are Holocaust survivors. There are still people whose parents were Holocaust survivors, whose grandparents were Holocaust survivors, people who lost everything and never recovered. And that tends to make people angry, right? So it's what you're getting angry at. If you're getting mad because a package of M&Ms has a purple M&M with boobs on it, That's a stupid fucking thing to get mad at. And that's not the same as getting mad at making a Holocaust joke. And I just want to point that out because a lot of conservatives can't seem to tell the difference between those two things. Oh, why are you mad because I made a racist joke? You know, oh, get over it, right? It's not the same thing as saying, oh, why are you mad because fucking, you know, M&Ms aren't sexy enough, or Mr. Potato Head isn't a woman, isn't a man anymore, or Dr. Seuss or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, those are not comparable things, right? One of them is really fucking stupid to get angry over, and the other one actually hurts people and can lead to people being hurt. That's the other thing about Holocaust denial, for example. The people who tend to do it also tend to enact in violence. Right? So, just want to point that out. But, according to Ben Shapiro, it's all the same. It's just woke companies pissing off conservatives on purpose, right? Or hoping they don't piss conservatives off. And, conservatives getting mad over M&Ms is the exact same fucking shit as, like, making racist jokes or making homophobic jokes or anti-Semitism, that kind of thing. It's all the same thing according to him. Stupidest fucking shit ever, right? This is why I do encourage people to watch Ben Shapiro. You should watch him. You should watch him because he's a fucking idiot, right? And the people out there that are not listening to what he actually says, just listening to his agenda. That's what it is. They're not actually listening to the words he says. They're just taking his agenda for face value. And you can see that it all starts making sense. Why so many fucking like conservatives believe in the stupidest fucking shit. Moving on.
This is the way that it works. So if you look at market studies, what they tend to show is that left-wingers buy based on their perception of how a brand acts. Now, they don't actually buy based on their perception of how a brand acts in terms of it being left-wing. So long as...
That's bullshit, by the way. There are no studies that say that. Right. Zero studies. But let's let him finish the thought here before we continue.
A corporation is just not openly right-wing. They assume that it's left-wing. But if a corporation ever is perceived as right-wing in any way, this means that the left boycotts it.
That's complete 100% bullshit. Okay. There are no studies out there that say left-wingers, people, I'm assuming when he says left-wing, does he mean Democrats? I don't know. Right. Progressives and liberals and Democrats. There is no study out there that says that they shop depending on what the politics of the company is. That's horseshit. If that were true, then they wouldn't buy anything, because I got news for you folks. Every corporation out there is shitty in some way. Amazon abuses its workers. Starbucks is highly anti-union, right? The chocolate you buy from Hershey's, for example, or Mars or whatever, comes from plantations that are essentially run with child slave labor. This is true shit. And, we're going to take a small little detour here. Actually, we're not going to do a detour, but here's an actual fucking, I'll just put this down in the chat for you guys so that you can look this up later. But here's some actual, testimony and stats on that, right? Let's move this. Child labor and slavery in the chocolate industry. This is true shit. And I encourage you to read that article that I just posted in the chat there later on, right? But the chocolate you buy in the stores, 70% of that comes from the Ivory Coast on Africa, right? A large portion of that is made by people who, is farmed by people who make less than $1 a day, right? A lot of them are children, child labor, who are literally bought and sold like slaves, right? And what it is that the recruiters will go to a village and they'll go to the families of the kids and say, hey, if you allow the kid, we'll pay you for your son to come work in the fields with us. And then when he's in the fields, he'll get like an education and he'll be fed very well and all that. And, he'll have a good life, right? And the people in these villages and in Western Africa are in like Ghana and shit like that are so like desperate that they often more than not end up literally selling their children to these fucking slave traders, right? Who then go and then they sell them to plantations and they'll say, okay, your contract is for 5 years. And the kid will be like 12 years old. And they'll be like, okay, you're going to work here for 5 years, right? And they're essentially slaves. They can't leave, They have to work. If they don't work, they get beaten, right? They don't get schooling. I mean, it was something like, I think the article said only 30% of them actually, like 30% of the plantations actually like have any form of school for the kids, which is usually the law, but it's like the law says the kids have to go to school, but it's just not fucking happening, right? They barely get any food. They barely get any, they're hungry all the time, right? They make them work with like fucking really dangerous implements, things like fucking machetes and like chainsaws and shit. It's like 14-year-old kid fucking chopping down a forest with a chainsaw, And then like they have to do stuff like they'll take the machete and they have to cut open the coca bean to get the pod to get the beans out and stuff, and they end up cutting their own fingers off and stuff like that, right? And it's essentially slavery. If you have to, if you're working and you can't voluntarily leave, that's slavery. Okay. Right? When you're being forced to work, it's slavery. And I mean, let alone all the other parallels, that the fact that their families are literally selling them to the fucking like human traffickers and shit, slave traders, and this is where 70% of the coca beans that make up your chocolate. So when you go to Starbucks and you get your fucking mocha, right, that you are supporting that industry, right? If you go to, the movies and you buy a Hershey bar, right, you're supporting child slavery. That's where the shit comes from. Right? That's a reality in life, And right, how come Ben Shapiro isn't talking about that? How come he's talking about he's talking about the woke purple, transgender M&M or whatever. He'll spend like fucking, an hour talking about that shit and how it's all wrong. He's not talking about the child fucking slavery that's happening in Africa so that he can enjoy his M&Ms. Right? Because they don't really care. It's all distraction. That's what's really, that's the real actual distraction. And that's the thing that also with these companies is that they'll, even though, okay, yeah, M&M's, Mars, I think it's the Mars Candy Company, right? Yeah, they'll have a, an inclusive wrapper for a month, that'll talk about how we like, everybody should be equal and, we women empowerment and all that shit on their M&Ms. And that perfectly distracts from the fact that the chocolate inside of those M&Ms is fucking harvested with slave labor. Everybody's forgetting about that. So the point is, if, liberals and progressives and all that really truly took all this into account when they went shopping, they wouldn't buy anything. Because every product you buy has something wrong with it like that. iPhones are made by people who throw themselves off buildings. Your clothes are made in fucking sweatshop factories in Mexico. Right? Like, seriously, fucking, the tomatoes in your hamburger that you buy are picked by people who fucking don't make a living wage. You could find something political about every product you want. Right? Because that's how capitalism is. This is what capitalism is all about. Sorry to tell that to you folks. These are the things that we don't think about. And if you really truly thought about them, and if you were really like, if you really had principles, and you stuck by those principles, these would be the things that you would have to boycott, which would be everything. So, sorry, no, we don't boycott everything, right? I buy chocolate. I don't like it. You know, sometimes I try to buy ethically sourced chocolate the same way I try to buy ethically sourced coffee, but it's not always available. Sometimes when I go to the movies, I want to get Milk Duds. Yeah, that chocolate comes from slave labor. Yeah, well, fuck, man, shit, what you gonna do? Right? Sorry, the world sucks. I gotta eat my Milk Duds when I'm watching the next Avengers movie. What can I say? Shit happens, man. The world sucks. Things are shitty. Human beings are fucking assholes. Right? Stuff is not fair. You know, if you spend your entire life agonizing over every single thing that's wrong, then you will not have much of a life. You can work to fix these problems. You know, it's sort of like when they say, like, here's a very common conservative like criticism when they say shit like, okay, well, you know, if you hate capitalism so much, why do you have an iPhone? Why do you have a computer? Why do you know what I mean? Like, you hear this a lot from conservatives. It's like, me personally, I don't hate capitalism. I'm not a communist. No, I'm not even a fucking, you know, not even really a socialist, really, kind of, sort of. I want socialized medicine. I don't think that makes me a socialist, you know, because I want, like, government-provided medicine, healthcare. Does that really make me a socialist? Not really, you know. But, you know, you can work towards changing things and fixing things, you know, and still, you know, have to live according to, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, having a smartphone means you're exploiting people in a factory, but you gotta have a phone. You can't survive without a phone nowadays, right? Me eating beef or something, or factory farmed chicken or whatever, is cruel to the chickens. It's cruel to the cows, whatever, right? The people in the meatpacking plants are fucking, like, exploited, right? But you gotta eat. What the fuck am I gonna eat then? Right? You gotta have protein. You need protein. You need animal protein, really. I mean, I know vegans and shit say they can live without it. I mean, I want animal protein. Sorry, I like meat. Meat tastes good, right? And you fucking need it to be healthy. So where the fuck am I gonna get it then? If I don't, you know, if it's the only meat there is, it's like, all right, well, I guess I can get grass-fed, like, beef, and I can get, like, ethically raised chicken when I can, but you can't get that all the time. What if you go out to a restaurant someplace, right? Am I just going to sit there and not eat while everybody else does? No, it's like you have to survive in the world how it is, not how you want it to be, right? So that criticism when they say that, oh, well, if you hate capitalism, then don't own an iPhone, don't have a computer, don't drive in a car, all this other fucking shit, is like the stupidest, most vapid shit ever. It's like, how about we change this stuff? You know, instead of me just not personally using it. Me not personally using it doesn't change anything. It just means one less person is driving a car. One less person owns an iPhone. It doesn't change shit, right? Even if I got 1 million people to not buy an iPhone, it doesn't change anything, okay? The other 300 million people in the country will just buy iPhones, right? So that's the dumbest fucking thing ever. Doesn't matter if me personally, how I live my life, what choices I make, because those choices ultimately don't result. It's not enough pressure to change anything. Your personal choices aren't enough pressure to change everything. You would have to literally get every single person in the world to do the exact same thing you're doing in order to make a difference that way. Boycotts don't work. That's why they don't work, right? Because there's people out there that don't give a shit. So every time you want to boycott Chick-fil-A because they're assholes to gay people, you notice Chick-fil-A didn't go out of business, right? I myself personally have not eaten at Chick-fil-A since then, since fucking 2013 or whenever that came out, whenever the fucking, like, you know, the thing about Chick-fil-A not liking gay people is exposed. I personally haven't eaten there myself. Has Chick-fil-A changed their story? Have they changed their position on anything? No, they haven't. You know, why? Because it doesn't fucking matter what I do. It doesn't matter what me or you or anybody does, right? If I got every single person in the state of California to not eat at Chick-fil-A, it would make a difference. Okay. You know, good luck getting that to fucking happen, right? It's ridiculous, folks. Anyway, let's listen to a little bit more of this shit, and then we'll call it a day. We got about another 10 minutes to go, so maybe we can get through some of this.
There have been Harvard Business School studies showing just this. Meanwhile, conservatives, they just buy whatever they think is the best products, and they don't seem to care too much about who actually produces the product. So you have an asymmetric...
Yeah, that was a lie. You just said that, by the way. Conservatives buy products and what they... No, they don't. No, they don't. Conservatives do the exact same shit. You know, they get mad at products too all the time. You remember the thing with like Keurigs and how they said they would never buy Keurigs again, and then you had all these people making TikTok videos of them buying a Keurig and then smashing it. It's like, good job, you fucking idiot. The Keurig company got your fucking money anyway. You remember that? Conservatives very much fucking shop with their politics the same way that certain other people do. Certain people on the left do as well. So don't give me this fucking shit, Ben Shapiro, you fucking moron. Moving on.
Symmetrical warfare that is being played against corporations. Corporations virtue signal to the left, knowing the right is not going to boycott them or stop eating their products or whatever. And the right doesn't...
That's literal bullshit, by the way. You know, the right wing in this country are the people that started boycotts to begin with. You know, remember when they boycotted Disney back in the 90s because Disney, like, was giving benefits to domestic partnerships? This is before gay marriage, you know, 20 years before gay marriage. Back in the day, Disney was giving benefits to somebody if you had a domestic partner. Remember that? Remember they boycotted Disney for years and years and years? And, you know, no, this is definitely a shit that the right wing does. Don't fucking lie, you know, we don't care. We just use products that are good. Get the fuck out of here, lying motherfucker. You know, and this is like just shit that he threw out in the first 47 seconds. It would just pass, you know, it would pass right by you. And all the fucking morons at home watching this asshole are sitting there going like, yeah, I don't care about politics when I buy my, you know, meat and eggs and all. No. Such fucking misleading horseshit. It's just like somebody like, I think, does he really truly believe it himself or does he know that he's lying? I think Ben Shapiro actually knows he's lying. You know, I think maybe he might have lied to himself so much over the years that maybe he's starting to get high off his own supply, but still think that he's definitely in grifter territory. Moving on.
Doesn't have enough alternative products yet. You do in some areas, like Jeremy's razors, right? You don't actually have to give your money to Harry's or Gillette. You can give it to somebody who doesn't hate your guts. Okay, but in many areas, there are no real alternatives that have been provided. And so what happens is that these corporations, seeking to re-enshrine in the left-wing mind that they are their allies, they just do stupid woke virtue signaling for no apparent reason. And it is high-level trollery. It is them doing something and then proclaiming that they are virtuous. And then when you point out that what they're doing is stupid, they're like, why are you even noticing we're doing it in the first place?
Yeah, it is not virtue signaling. It's marketing. Okay? It's marketing. M&Ms is not making new packaging just to virtue signal and say, see, we like gay people. No. They did it because somebody made the calculation that if we do make this packaging, right, then it increases our corporate image and then we make more money. Because that's what it's all about. It's not about, you know, a corporation does not have, like, morals. They don't care, right? They don't give a shit at all. If they can make more money by, like, putting packaging with fucking American flags and AK-40, you know, or AR-15s on it and, like, a big fucking, like, pickup truck running over, like, fucking, you know, running over a bunch of spotted owls with, like, the text "fuck Biden" on it. If they thought they could make more money doing that, then they would. All right? If they thought they can make more money by spewing toxic shit straight into your face rather than selling M&Ms, if they thought that would make you money, like if they thought there was a market in in like piping like their like waste emissions from the factory right into your like living room and like putting like a fucking gas mask on your face and piping it right in your face. Like if they thought that like people would pay to directly like breathe in their fumes and shit from their factory, they would do it. Okay? Because they don't give a fuck about, it's not about politics, it's about money. Right? When it comes to anything that has to do with capitalism. You ever notice the only like movements that actually try to go out and like clean shit up, they're always nonprofits, right? Because it's not profitable to be like environmentally friendly, right? It's not like going out and like cleaning up like trash out of the ocean and shit. It's not profitable. You don't, that's not a business. You don't sell the trash afterwards. No. If you could go out and mine the great fucking like Pacific trash pile and like mine it, and sell the fucking garbage afterwards at a profit, people would be doing it. But it's not profitable to do that. So the only like, when you engage in an activity like that, that's for political reasons, right? It's always like something that it's always like a nonprofit. It's always like a charity, right? Something like that where they ask for donations, If your company is asking for donations, it's not a company. You know what I mean? If you're selling a product, then if you have to pollute to make that product, then you'll do it. Else you won't be able to sell that product. That's how it works. Maybe you can make it in such a way that it doesn't pollute so much. Maybe if you're lucky, you can make it in such a way that the byproducts of what you sell can be recycled or sold somewhere else or whatever, right? But there's no company out there going, this product pollutes too much, we just can't make it. No. The only thing that stops shit like that is regulation. That's it. Is the government stepping in and saying, hey, you are not allowed to make this that way. You're not allowed to sell these. You can't sell this product. It destroys the ozone layer. Shit like that. Right? Capitalism does not fucking have that sort of regulatory thing built in. That's another lie that conservatives tell you. They always say that, it's capitalism. If people don't like it, if they think that it's like a product that's destroying the environment, for example, then they won't buy it. That's bullshit. People will buy it. People will buy it. If it's on the shelves, they'll buy it. Okay? If it's there and they think and they can use it, they won't give a fuck that their hairspray destroys the ozone layer. They won't care. They won't care that the car they drive fucking like pollutes, gives people asthma, gives people cancer, and like is fucking like, changing the atmosphere with fucking greenhouse gases. They won't give a fuck about that. They'll drive the car anyway. Right? Doesn't matter. In fact, there will even be people out there who will buy that because it does that. There will be people because it pisses off like, progressives. There will be people that will do it on purpose, who will pollute on purpose. You ever see those coal rolling assholes go out and like put fucking smokestacks on their truck and burn coal to make it as dirty as possible on purpose just so that they can piss off like, environmentalists? It's like, that's the kind of people we're dealing with here, folks. Anyway, move on. Let's watch it. Let's see if we can actually get through this before we end here. Sorry, I keep interrupting. I'll try not to.
So the best example of this lately is M&M is now going to release an all-female M&M's candy package for a limited time to honor women who are flipping the status quo. The company announced the feminist-forward candy wrappers on Thursday.
That's why also it's upside down, if you notice, flipping the status quo. Get it? It's marketing, folks. It's not actually woke. It's marketing. There's a difference between politics and marketing. None of these assholes understand that. I don't know.
Today, according to Fox 7 Austin, saying it will exclusively display M&M's female characters, the green and brown, and most recently introduced purple M&M. In addition to featuring the 3 female M&Ms on the wrapper, each package in the limited run will only include the corresponding green, brown, and purple candy-coated chocolates. The package will feature the female M&Ms flipped upside down to represent how women are flipping how they define success. Wow, they're upside down also because women are flipping how they define success. The series will come in milk chocolate.
Was that supposed to be funny? Did he just try to crack a joke there? Like, how is that funny at all? I don't know. Completely flew over my head there. This is why Ben Shapiro failed as a screenwriter. Moving on.
Peanut and peanut butter varieties. Oh, I was getting afraid there. I'm glad that at least some of these M&Ms will have nuts to represent the transgender community. So you have to ensure that some of the M&Ms are actual trans women. We wouldn't want these to be cisgender M&Ms.
Ben Shapiro is so funny that when he cracks a joke, he has to explain it afterwards. That's how funny of a man he is. He's so, his jokes land so hard that he immediately, after telling the joke about how M&Ms have nuts, had to explain what he meant is that transgendered women still have testicles. This is what we're dealing with, folks. Anyway, I can't... Enough of this for me. I think we've been through enough of this shit. I'm going to put that down in the thing for you. And then there's one more guy, though, that we need to look at, right? And it's Nick Adams. So Nick Adams is the dumbest fucking guy on the face of the earth. We got to talk about this dude because I think Nick Adams is a parody. I don't think this guy is real. And when you watch him, people think that he's real. I think he is sort of like a parody of a conservative commentator. You know how like Stephen Colbert in his old show before he took over the fucking late night Stephen Colbert. Before he took that over, he like had the Colbert show and it was like he was like a parody of a conservative like pundit. I think that's what Nick Adams is. Like, so this guy is like, but you know, looking at his background, we actually did a stream about a month and a half ago where we talked a little bit about Nick Adams' background. He really is a conservative guy who was, you know, a politician and shit in Australia. So this is Nick Adams, alpha male, President Trump's favorite author. Right. He has a very notorious pinned tweet here. Let's see. Where's his pinned tweet? He has this tweet where he said that everything that Trump says is true or some shit like that. Somewhere up here. Anyway. But there were a couple of tweets here having to do with the M&Ms thing. Here we go. Wanted to point this one out here, right? Nick Adams, the Alpha Male channel. Go to your local grocery store, find and purchase the largest bag of M&Ms you can find. Destroy the bag of M&Ms you purchased and do not let one pass your lips. Take a photo of your crushed woke M&Ms and post it on social. Make sure you tag Mars. Anybody see what's wrong with this picture? If you buy the M&Ms before you destroy them, you already gave the Mars Candy Company your money. It's the same thing like when they were buying Keurigs and then making videos of them destroying them. It was the same thing when they were buying those fucking sneakers and then burning them. If you're fucking buying it, you're making you're giving the company money. You're enriching the company. That means they're making money, so they're gonna continue to make the fucking M&Ms in the packaging that you don't like, because obviously they're making money doing it. It's capitalism, you fucking imbecile. Right? And anybody who would actually do this, like, are there actually people that did this here? Let me see. Anybody post a video of them crushing? No? Okay, well, it looks like people are, like, laughing at him for this shit. You know? Right? But anybody who would actually do this, like, I don't know. You got a problem. A few more here. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. Anyway, nobody cares about you. I want to see more shit about M&Ms. Here we go. I was at a bodega this morning, and when I saw a small boy ask his mother for some candy, as I saw her hand reach for a package of M&Ms. I cried out. Okay, he didn't shout it. He didn't manly shout it like an alpha male. He didn't yell it. He cried like a little baby. And left my place in line to stop her. Once I informed her M&Ms had gone woke, she thanked me profusely and opted for a Twix instead. This is things that did not happen for 1000 Alex. This is a made-up bullshit story. And anybody who would listen to some... Now, just imagine if this actually happened, right? Imagine that you're there with your kid. Let's take Nick Adams for his word and assume that this is actually a real thing and not some made-up bullshit that he just made up in order to, like, tweet, right? But assume that you were in line. Your kid's like, I want some M&Ms. And some random fucking moron cuts out of line, walks up to you and says, don't buy those are woke. Don't buy these M&Ms because of the package, they're woke. What would be your response? Would you thank him profusely and buy some Twix? Or would you tell him to get the fuck back in the line? Right? Don't tell me what kind of fucking candy I'm gonna buy. Right? Do you think your kid who wanted M&Ms is going to be like, okay, I'll take Twix? No. Right? A small boy doesn't give a fuck. Right? If you want M&Ms and you try to give him Twix, the kid is going to start crying and say, I want M&Ms. So, does anybody believe this? This is why I think this guy is a parody. This is why I think this guy's making up. I mean, he obviously made this shit up. But this is why I think he's like a comedy account. Just masquerading, and people are too fucking dumb to understand it. I mean, oh my god. Here we go. Want to be smart, want to be successful, want to be an alpha. Follow Nick Adams, alpha male, and turn on your notifications. Yeah, okay, that's all it takes, folks. All it fucking takes. So somewhere in here there's a video of him. I want to find the video of him, like, bitching and moaning about M&Ms. It's not there. It's this. Okay, we got to watch this video. Right. And then we'll call it a day. So here's Nick Adams talking about fucking these female M&Ms are a slap in the face to men everywhere.
G'day guys, Nick Adams here. I want to speak about M&Ms. I want to speak about Mars, the company behind M&Ms. M&Ms have just released feminist M&Ms. Yes, you heard me right. Feminist M&Ms. Egregious sexism of the worst and most conceivable kind.
Egregious sexism of the worst conceivable kind. A package of candy with female cartoon character M&Ms on it is the worst sexism of any conceivable. You can't conceive sexism worse than that. He must have a very, very bad imagination.
It is outrageous, it is disgusting, and it must not stand. That is why I am calling for a complete and total boycott of all things Mars, and particularly M&Ms.
This is, I just like in his title, Nick Adams, alpha male. Like, this is the kind of shit alpha males care about, huh? This is what alpha males spend their time like talking about the political, leanings of fucking candy bar rappers. If you're an alpha male, I mean, shouldn't you be out there wrestling alligators or, like, punching kangaroos or some shit, Nick Adams? Isn't that what alpha males are supposed to do? Shouldn't you, like, be doing karate, like, fighting off ninjas and like, fucking, roping fucking, like, cows and shit with a cowboy hat on and a 6-shooter, like, beating up gang members? Isn't that what alpha males are supposed to do? Like, I didn't know alpha males gave a fuck about candy so much. Like, I thought candy was for children. Right? I thought alpha males only ate, like, fucking like, beef jerky with hot sauce on it and like raw cactus. Right? Like raw cactus and like beef. Do they have beef flavored M&Ms? I don't know. That actually sounds pretty good. I'd eat beef flavored M&Ms. That'd be fucking delicious. I don't know.
It will not stand. Let me say this loudly. Let me say this clearly. Let me say this unambiguously. Any male that buys a packet of M&Ms from today forward must hand in their man card because they are a soft, woke, beta, male feminist.
See, that's all it takes, folks. So all of you trans women out there, instead of spending all that money getting surgery and getting, hormones and treatments and all that shit, and all you got to do is just go eat some M&Ms, and then instantly turns you into a woman, feminizes you. That's it. That's the magic candy. Magic candy can just like switch your gender like that. You automatically have to turn in your man card because you ate some fucking chocolate. Right? That's all it takes. That's the solution to everything. It's like we don't have to worry about trans shit. I'm obviously a woman now. I'm eating M&Ms. Like the stupidest fucking shit. The thing is, he's completely serious about it. Look at his face. It's not a joke. He's not doing this ironically. He's not trying to like, it's like 100% serious. Like, it's fucking unbelievable. This guy has to be a parody. It has to be a joke. I can't fucking believe that. I can't believe it. I can't believe that this guy is like, I don't know. It looks serious to me. Look at his face. He's not like secretly, you can kind of tell when people are secretly smiling on the inside. Like, no, like let's make that like, look at his face. He's not kidding. He's not kidding. It's not a joke. He really fucking believes this shit. It's, oh man.
Who has serious problems. Until M&Ms rectify this grave wrong by giving us all male M&Ms, this boycott will remain.
We need all male M&Ms. We need a package of M&Ms with like all dudes on it. Can we make them like super buff? Like the guys, like, they should make like a package of M&Ms where they're like super buff and they're like in a sauna. Right, Nick Adams? And then maybe they should be like wiping each other with like creams and lotions and stuff, like while they're in a sauna with just little loincloths covering their junk, like super huge buff guys. Maybe one of them can have like a butt chin and like a handlebar mustache. Pretty sure Nick Adams would really love that. Like a big, huge buff, like, M&Ms in a locker room shower. Kind of like that'll show how alpha male you are, right? I would buy that. I'd buy the gay locker room M&Ms all the way. I mean, shit. Like, you hear that, Mars Candy Company? Give me some gay M&Ms. I'll buy that right off the bat.
We will not stand for this at all. M&Ms?
You bought those M&Ms, you fucking idiot. Maybe he did. Did he steal those M&Ms? Dumbest shit ever. Anyway, folks, let's turn this fucking idiot off. Nick Adams is a well. A never-ending well of ridiculous bullshittery. Let's turn that off. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much. It's 1 o'clock. I am hungry as hell, so I think we're gonna go ahead and call it a day. But yeah, I wanted to have a little bit of fun today because a lot of the stuff that we talk about is heavy sometimes. You know what I mean? Oh, shit. Did I forget to pay my fucking... Wait a minute. This page ain't working. HTTP error. Oh, my webcomic is not coming up for some reason. Oh, well. I might have forgotten to actually pay them. I could have sworn I paid them. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. Anyway, let me check Etsy shop. So, yeah, I have some social medias and some other things that I would like to show to you guys. So Of course, if you want to support me and you want to support the channel, please like and subscribe. I have a DeviantArt website here. This is a gallery that we put all the work on that we do. Here's our little witch dude that we worked on all this whole time, you know, so feel free to, you can like download these and stuff all you want, whatever. So yeah, check out my artwork here on DeviantArt. If you want to make me some money, oh wow, I forgot to go to my shop thing. Well, here's my SD shop here. If you guys want to, you know, support me monetarily, here's the shop. You can check it out. Please consider buying something. I sell scrolls and prints and things. You know, here's a very popular one. This is like from H.P. Lovecraft. These are 11 by 17 coffee stained scrolls. So if you're interested and you like what I do and you want to throw some cash my way, you can buy something there. I have another YouTube channel that I kind of upload stuff to sometimes, usually lots of toy reviews, but I also do game reviews, things like that. This is UCD Videos. Please check me out there as well. And I also have a webcomic, which doesn't seem to be coming up right now. I have to figure out what's going on with that. I know I paid those motherfuckers. Anyway. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you guys. Let's see here. What have we got? Who actually joined us this time? Adversary Fandon, thank you for joining. You're awesome. Lewis the Hedgehog, great to see you as always. Pony Throat, thank you so much for coming as well. You're really, you know, really appreciate your support. And everybody else who may have dropped in today, thank you so much. I'm going to try to get into the habit of streaming on Wednesday nights as well. So I'm going to try my best, although not always. I can't guarantee that I will always stream on Wednesday nights, but I'm going to try really hard to do it at like 9 or 9:30 on Wednesdays. And if I do stream on Wednesdays, I will put a message in the Discord before we actually go live. At least I'm going to try to do it at least a couple of hours ahead of time so you guys have some notice. But if we don't see you on Wednesday, we will be back at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time next Saturday. So adios, guys. You are the best.